What do you do when you just can't figure something out? For robots, it's pretty simple. They can just keep bashing their heads against the wall. But living brains are a lot more complex. It turns out if you can understand just a little bit about how your brain works, you can learn more easily and be less frustrated. I'm Barb Oakley, working with Arizona State University. Arizona State wants to help you learn how to learn. Together with my friend, motivational speaker Greg Hammonds, we're bringing you some short videos with the secrets to learning more easily, based on the book Learning How to Learn. Neuroscientist Terence Sanowski, we just call him Terry, will be helping you understand even more about what's going on in your brain.
But don't worry, I'll help make it easy, and I'll be back later to show you how.
Whether it's improving your soccer skills or basketball game, learning to play the guitar, speaking another language, getting better at video games, or studying math and science, we're going to show you some tricks to take your learning to the next level.
Today's key point, your brain has two different ways of learning. One is the focused mode. That's when you're paying close attention to something. The other is the diffuse mode. That's when you don't seem to be thinking about anything in particular. Learning involves going back and forth between the focused and the diffuse modes.
To better understand these two modes, let's start with the pinball machine. Hey, watch it! Well, anyway, here's a pinball machine. To play pinball, you pull out the plunger like this, and the ball goes bouncing around the rubber bumpers. That's how you earn points. The pinball machine works a lot like your brain. The machine is like your thinking when you're in focus mode. The bumpers here are very close to one another. See this fuzzy pattern here at the top? It represents familiar thinking patterns, maybe involving something you already know, like how to multiply. The ball is like a thought. You think a thought, like, I want to multiply 2 times 3. The thought takes off, moving smoothly along. As it's bouncing around on the bumpers, you're able to solve a simple, familiar problem.
But what if the problem you're working on needs new ideas or approaches, ideas you haven't learned or thought of before? For example, let's say you know how to multiply, but you don't know how to divide. The new thought pattern you want to develop is symbolized here towards the bottom of the pinball brain. If you haven't thought that thought before, you don't even know how to put that pattern there. And see all those tightly spaced little rubber bumpers that are blocking your thinking? To get to this new thought pattern, you need a different way of thinking. And that's represented here by the diffuse mode. Look at how widely spaced the rubber bumpers are. A thought takes off. Look at how it moves widely, bounces around. It can travel a long way before hitting a bumper. In the diffuse mode of thinking, you can look at things broadly in a very different big picture way. Your thoughts can make new connections, traveling along new pathways. You can't focus tightly to figure out a problem or understand the details of a concept like you can in the focused mode, but you can at least get to the new place you need to be in to solve a hard problem or understand a new concept.
When you're learning, you're either in the focused mode or the diffuse mode. You can't be in both modes at the same time. It's kind of like a coin. We can either see one side or the other side of the coin, but not both sides at the same time. Being in one mode prevents you from being in the other mode.
When you've been focusing for a while and you get stuck, that's perfectly normal. Being stuck is a signal for you to step back from the focus mode for a little while, to let your brain's diffuse mode go to work. To do that, turn to something different, or just take a break. When you come back later, things will make more sense. To follow along and learn a lot more about learning during this course and have fun while you're doing it, go to Terry's and my accompanying book, Learning How to Learn, How to Succeed in School without spending all your time studying. In the next video, we'll hear an interesting story about poison. I'm Barb Oakley.
I'm Greg Hammonds.
And I'm Terry Sanowski.
We and Arizona State University wish you happy learning.
Back in the 1800s, murderers sometimes used a chemical called arsenic. Arsenic can kill a person in one day, and it's not a very pleasant way to go. One day in 1875, two men ate a large amount of arsenic in front of an audience. The men should have died, but to everyone's surprise, they came back the next day seemingly as healthy as can be. How could it have happened? How can something so harmful appear to do no damage?
We'll get to the answer soon. Meanwhile, I'm going to show you how a tomato can help you learn better. Sound nutty? Stay with us. In this video, we're going to talk about an idea called procrastination. Procrastination means putting things off until later. Like when you know you have a big test on Friday, but you procrastinate all week and don't study for it until Thursday night.
Why do you procrastinate? When I procrastinate, it feels like something is hanging over my head. It's actually in my head. When something really bad happens to you, a part of your brain called the insular cortex fires up. Tucked away under your skull around here, the insula is activated when you're feeling pain and when you're emotionally hurting. The insula is closely connected to your body. That's why it's a gut feeling. Guess what? The insula also fires up when you're just thinking about something you don't want to do, but it happily settles down once you get to work on the task you were avoiding. And you will feel a lot better as your insula gives up its grip on you.
So one of the best tips to becoming a great learner is to just get going. Don't put your work off. You're thinking, but how can I just settle down and get working? The solution, yes, it's a tomato.
In the 1980s, Italian Francesco Cirillo developed the Pomodoro technique to help procrastinators. Pomodoro means tomato in Italian. Cirillo developed a tomato-shaped timer, like this one. Cirillo's technique is very simple. All it needs is a timer. A tomato-shaped timer like Cirillo's is really nice, but any timer will do. I often use a digital timer that I've downloaded to my computer. There are also Pomodoro apps that people like to use. The Forest app is especially popular. Here's how to do a Pomodoro. First, as much as you can, shut off all distractions. The television, your phone, your little brother. You want to be able to focus as intently as you can without being interrupted. Then, set your Pomodoro timer for 25 minutes. Start working. Focus as intently as you can. 25 minutes of focus is doable.
Here comes the best and most important part. When the 25 minutes are done, reward yourself. How? You can listen to your favorite song, even move to it, or play a video game, or talk with friends. 5 or 10 minutes is a good amount of time for a reward. Many people find it helpful to set a timer for their reward period.
The reward is the most important part of the whole Pomodoro process. Why? It gives your diffuse mode a chance to work on what you're learning. Remember, you don't just learn when you're focusing. You learn through a combination of focusing and relaxing. Even when your brain is relaxing, it's still working quietly, figuring things out. When you're focusing while you're doing a Pomodoro, your thoughts can wander off. You can lose focus. That's perfectly normal. All you have to do is bring your thoughts back as soon as you catch them wandering off.
Okay, now it's time to get back to the arsenic eaters. Are you wondering how they could eat arsenic and not die? And anyway, what does eating poison have to do with procrastination? The arsenic eater started with tiny amounts of poison and gradually began eating more and more each day. They built up an immunity. They thought everything was fine because they didn't feel sick, but they were gradually poisoning themselves. Gradually increasing the amounts of arsenic won't kill you, but over time, arsenic does serious damage. It damages your internal organs and causes cancer. Don't eat arsenic. How can this be like procrastination?
Here's how. Putting your studies off for a little while longer doesn't seem like it would hurt anything. But as you get used to procrastinating, it makes learning harder. You'll get stressed because you have less time to learn. You can become a less effective student. Remember, you can make short periods of focused concentration into a healthy habit. So learn to love that Pomodoro app on your phone, or that plastic tomato. Next, we're going to see how one very shy 10-year-old girl changed her brain. I'm Barb Oakley.
I'm Greg Hammonds.
And I'm Terry Sinofsky.
We and Arizona State University wish you happy learning. Here's me when I was 10 years old. I loved animals, knitting, and weaving. I hated math. In fact, I failed math all through my childhood, so you might be surprised to learn that today I'm a professor of engineering. How did it happen?
Before we find out, let's take a look at the big picture of all the careers people can pursue. Why are those involving math and science sometimes more challenging? Part of the reason is the ideas are more abstract. Let's take a cow, for example. Out standing in the field, if you have the word cow, you can point right to a cow and learn exactly what that means. But for mathematical ideas, there's often no similar thing that you can point to. There are no plus signs standing out in the field so that you can point and instantly know what the plus symbol stands for. Multiplication or division or other types of mathematical or scientific symbols aren't instantly understandable either. All of these terms are also abstract. This means it's important to practice with the ideas and concepts you're learning in math and science, just like anything else you're learning. Practice helps make changes in your brain. It helps make even abstract ideas more real.
Just like everything else you're learning, it's really important to practice the ideas and concepts you're learning in math and science. Practice helps make the changes in your brain last longer. It can even make abstract ideas become as natural as real things. Not only is practice important for learning, but how you practice can make a big difference in how well you remember a new concept. Don't cram your practice the day before a big test. You will forget most of it after the test. But if you review the concept at spaced intervals, even if briefly, you will remember the concept for a long time. This works for any concept, whether it's a vocabulary word, an event in history, or a problem in math.
Practice is right. I enlisted in the Army right after high school to learn the Russian language at the U.S. Defense Language Institute. That's me at age 18, looking very nervous while I'm throwing a hand grenade. If you knew how clumsy I actually am, you'd know why I look so nervous. I only started to study math and science when I was 26 years old, after I got out of the military. At first, it was really hard for me. There were all these quick thinkers in my classes who seemed to get everything a lot easier and faster than I did. In between semesters, I'd go out and work as a Russian translator on Soviet trawlers. That's me working on a boat out near the North Pole. Then I'd come back to school and I'd keep learning. As I gained technical knowledge, new doors started opening up for me. I ended up working as a radio operator at the South Pole Station in Antarctica. That's where I met my husband, Philip. I always say I had to go to the end of the earth to meet that man. Incidentally, he's the man behind the camera in filming these videos. Now, I wasn't a natural in math and science, not at all. The way I succeeded was to gradually begin to figure out some insights about how my brain worked. We'll learn more about how to help you help your brain learn in the next video. And we're going to learn about a boy in trouble, big trouble. I'm Barb Oakley.
I'm Greg Hammonds.
And I'm Terry Sinofsky.
We and Arizona State University wish you happy learning.